The news where you are is coming up, but right now we're going to leave you with some of the day's extraordinary images from Los Angeles.
You're gonna be okay, hi? You're gonna be okay.
We have well over 5,000 acres that have burned, and the fire is growing. We have no percentage of containment.
You're watching BBC Channel Islands. Hello, good evening and a very warm welcome to Wednesday programme. Good to have your company. I'm Charlie McArdle. So first tonight are these troubling times for tourism. A hotel chain has cut staff hours, saying fewer people are needed as there are too few visitors. The hand-picked hotel group, which has more than 20 hotels in the UK and the Channel Islands, made some Guernsey employees redundant last month. And it's announced this latest measure as another way of cutting costs. Julie Flanagan's been looking at the impact on staff and the industry as a whole.
A new year with new challenges. The hand-picked hotel group has told staff at some of the Channel Islands' best-known hotels that their hours may be cut by up to 12.5% until the end of March due to a drop in demand. And employees are nervous.
We're going through a nightmare. This change happened without any notice. People still have bills to pay, and as we know, living in Jersey isn't exactly cheap.
We've just had to work really hard and endless hours over Christmas, and they do this. Some staff are talking about walking out because of it.
But there's hope it's not a sign of longer-term trouble.
Is it tougher this year than other years? I think it's a bit early to tell that. I think people are nervous generally in the UK after the budget. It's damaged confidence, and I think people in business everywhere are worried and are being cautious.
The group announced redundancies in Guernsey before Christmas, which they blamed on low demand and the cost and difficulty of getting to the island. But within hospitality, there is still optimism.
For us, in our own minds, this is a normal winter as such. And if anything, we've had an incredibly busy festive period, and we're looking forward to a good year.
The chief executive of the Handpicked Hotels Group had spoken to staff before Christmas to explain the challenges the company's facing. In a follow-up email, they said, "We appreciate that this is a difficult time for everyone, and we will keep the situation under review. We intend to revert to normal hours and pay when circumstances allow." Cutting hours and pay is written into contracts, which leaves staff with fewer options.
The economy hasn't really recovered since COVID, and I know that's all part of the reason, but it seems to me that everyone would be better if they could perhaps try and negotiate a way around this.
But the industry is familiar with the challenge of leaner months.
We are in the perfect storm right now. There is high levels of competition in hospitality right now. When consumers are tightening their belts, given the cost of living crisis, obviously it has a knock-on effect to us all, and we have to cut back in places.
Despite a reduction in hotel beds in recent years, the islands pride themselves on the quality of their tourism offering, and it's hoped a strong summer will help ease current challenges. Julie Flanagan, BBC Channel Islands News.
Turning to other news, and representatives of Jersey's building industry say they're deeply saddened another company has stopped trading. K-Land Construction was set up in the island more than 10 years ago and shared this site at Beaumont before appointing liquidators in December. Other well-known firms, including Camerons, Mitchells and Calmac, have all ceased trading in the last 2 years.
Bank interest rates, Brexit, the impact of the living wage, the material spiralling costs, interest rates have all had a massive effect on Jersey, all of Jersey businesses, not just construction.
Guernsey police are investigating after reports an adult woman was assaulted at Lamada Carteret School. The alleged incident happened at around 10 to 3 yesterday afternoon. The force is appealing for information from anyone who saw what happened. 14 patients in Guernsey have had operations cancelled this week because the hospital is at capacity. 11 people are in the PEH with flu-related illness, and consultations are higher than last year. Meanwhile, medical staff in Jersey are wearing face masks to help stop the spread, while several UK hospitals have declared critical incidents. Meanwhile, a Jersey secondary school has asked parents to keep their children away if they have flu symptoms. Helier has written to parents about the recent outbreak and says any children who haven't yet had the flu jab should see a doctor to get vaccinated. Right, next on our programme tonight, when was the last time you popped into town? I'm asking because Jersey's capital is becoming a less appealing place to spend time, according to the latest Opinions and Lifestyle survey. Now, 56% of those who answered said they were satisfied with St Helier as a place to visit. Now, that is down from 72% 2 years ago. Stephen Herview's taken to the streets to find out what's putting people off.
Post-Christmas sales and a rare splash of sunshine seem to be bringing people to town, but many say they're unhappy with the experience.
It's when anybody comes in, it's in an awful state. You know, there's so many empty shops. Looks as though they need a lot of money spending on them. Need a little bit of reinvestment, I think.
I do love it, but it's sad because they're closing off all the shops and there's nothing much you can see, to be honest.
Shops closing down may be one issue. But are we just seeing the process of St Helier reinventing itself?
This is the market adapting to current conditions. People say, oh, well, landlords are charging too much rent. Well, landlords inevitably will come down, their rental levels will come down as they see vacant shops.
And it's fair to say not all St Helier shoppers were negative.
Yeah, I quite like coming in. It's all right. I think it's got most of the shops we need.
It's nice to see, you know, on the island that there's plenty of shops and everything seems vibrant.
But one issue everyone agreed with was the challenge of parking and getting around.
Some of the, dare I say, carnage around town in terms of roadworks. People talk about parking accessibility, which is the biggest issue. Now, I came up with a couple of ideas, which is we have the Esplanade car park, which is currently a building site at the moment. We've got the Kensington Place, where the hospital is going to be built, which could be very much what I call meanwhile use car parks.
And what about the effect of the internet? Is online shopping dragging businesses down?
Part of the issue is currently the cost of living crisis. People find it more expensive to go out. They will be looking for the cheaper deals and potentially looking online. So we need to work really hard to show that the St Helier High Street is vibrant.
And some say internet shopping is no longer all it's cracked up to be.
There's loads of shipping problems, especially with all the new rules that Jersey have put into place. So actually, if you shop from a retail place like here, it's a lot easier, but still people are stuck in this idea that shopping from home is more convenient and easier, when I don't really think that's the case anymore.
Jersey's Future Fit roadmap talks about fostering prosperity through vibrancy, and that, many say, is exactly what St Helier needs to focus on.
I've seen the retail strategy coming out, and hopefully it will have attract more people. I know that parish is doing their best to put more events on, but we need the town to be more alive.
I would hope that the parish of St Helier will do more work in response to this survey. I think it's important for our economy. I think it's also important for our well-being as well.
Yeah, quite a few opinions there, and I'm sure you've got one or two. You can drop us an email to cinews@bbc.co.uk. Right now, let's take a look at a few other stories that have been making the news today in the islands. And managers of Jersey's public service has been praised for efforts to improve workplace culture. An HR agency was commissioned to review the progress made since earlier reports on bullying and harassment. It found improvements in all areas since the 2021 assessment. There's another attempt to bring back Jersey politicians who are voted in by people across the island. Deputy Elaine Miller wants to bring back senators and says previous attempts to revive the role weren't detailed enough. Community school governors have been appointed in Guernsey to provide regular oversight and support and challenge school leaders. The roles were set up as part of state's plans to allow local communities to work more closely with school leaders and politicians. And a Jersey deputy wants children to learn more about local politics from States members. Deputy Max Andrews is proposing a formal timetable of visits to schools in the hope of getting more young people interested. It could be debated next month. Now, do you fancy a new challenge for the new year? Well, it seems plenty of people in Guernsey do. More than 500 have signed up to the Everest challenge, and it sees teams or individuals walk up and around the Val de Terre 115 times in January, and that's covering the equivalent height of the world's highest mountain. Holly Ann Longley joined some of those challengers.
A scenic start to the route, where Liz and Anne, who work at Le Bourgs, are beginning their challenge for the hospice. Meeting others who are trying to get their steps in.
Absolutely loving it, absolutely loving it. Don't get me wrong, I mean, the fact that you've stopped me here, halfway up the hill, I've had to get my breath back a bit, but the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages. That view, being out in the open, seeing people, saying hello, it's fantastic.
I think that this is an amazing way in which people can actually support the hospice sort of in a different activity, and they can sign up throughout January. It's not like they've missed the chance. So yeah, if people are keen, you know, we've seen a lot of people walking past sort of today, you know, with children, dogs, but also it's a great way of like catching up with friends and family and getting fit.
And there's lots of support along the way. But for some, it's more than just one foot in front of the other.
So we thought this was a good challenge to start the year off. My dad spent his final weeks in Le Bourg, so it's a charity close to our hearts, and tried to get us fit for the start of the year.
Our mum told us about it, and so we're doing it with her. She used to work at the hospice as well, so she likes it.
For Liz and Anne then, it's one lap down and 114 more to go. Holly Ann Longley, BBC Channel Islands News, Guernsey.
Yeah, the best of luck with the rest of that. 114 still to go. Great challenge, raising an awful lot of money for a very good cause indeed. Of course, David will be along with your weather forecast in just a moment. But first, we're on the lookout for our Weather Watchers Star of the Day. Who's going to be the first on our brand new set? Let's find out. Hit that button, Tracy. It is Jersey, and this is Grooville in Jersey a little earlier today. Really captures today's weather. You can see Gorey Castle through the mist in the background. Let's get the full details from David. David, I think that picture is very much today's weather, isn't it?
It certainly is, Charlie. Yes, good evening. We've had some pretty awful weather today. It's been cold. There's been rain and a bit of sleet mixed in with it. It's now beginning to move away from us, but for the next couple of hours there's potentially some quite hefty downpours of rain and still a few showers around early tomorrow morning. A cold wind returns and then mostly fine in the second half of the day. Even some winter sunshine to look forward to. But the area of low pressure has yet to move out of the way. It has actually brought temperatures for Jersey just into double figures briefly today, at 10 degrees at the airport in St Helier. But further north we've had 3 or 4 degrees lower than that in Guernsey and Alderney. And the whole lot is then going to move south and east, bringing back down the colder air. So yes, we've managed double figure temperatures. By the end of the night we're well down into single figures. Ridge of high pressure for Thursday's forecast. That's, as I say, a mostly fine day. Another weather system will arrive on Friday. This again is going to mix in with the Arctic air. So again, the risk of some rain, but also the risk of some sleet, especially early in the day on Friday. And then high pressure starts to move in for Saturday and Sunday. More settled weather and the chance for some sunshine. Patchy rain for a time overnight tonight, and even by the morning still the risk of a few showers. 3 or 4 degrees the minimum temperature. Note also quite a keen northerly breeze. Then tomorrow those showers will fade away, largely fine and dry with sunny spells, small chance of a passing shower through the day, and our temperatures of 6 or 7 degrees. Not a very warm feeling day, and with that breeze probably feeling colder as well, despite the winter sunshine. These are our times of high water. St Peter Port, that's at 1:31 and 14:10. St Helier 1:15 and 13:53. Winds are going to be mostly from the north or northwest tomorrow. Force 4 or 5 at first, but then gradually decreasing down to 3 or 4. Generally good visibility out at sea. Let's take you through the outlook though, because Friday's forecast yet again has the potential for a little bit of sleet mixed in with rain. Then on Saturday and Sunday we start to see high pressure, and that area of high pressure sticks around all the way through next week and brings out the winter sunshine. So something to look forward to into next week. Charlie.
David, I've got a smile on my face. I'm sure everybody else has. Thank you very much. Right, that's it from me for now. Of course, you can follow today's stories and the latest news from the Channel Islands and beyond right now. That is available on the BBC News app. As always, I'll be back with your late news at 10:30. But right now, let's join the team at Spotlight. From me, though, bye-bye.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. Still to come in tonight's Spotlight. As snow continues to fall, David will be here with a full forecast.
We have an amber warning for heavy snow right up until 9 p.m. tonight, but another warning for tomorrow morning. I'll bring you the details later in the programme.
Fishermen in Devon and Dorset are being trained in a new science aimed at better understanding fish stocks. The project in Lyme Bay is teaching dozens of fishermen how to work out how old fish are. And here's a bit of a clue. It's a bit like how you tell the age of a tree. Here's Lucy Fisher to explain.
Nestled in Lyme Bay on the east coast of Devon, Beer is home to a fleet of small fishing boats. But following a ban on fishing for pollock a year ago, concern has been growing that a similar situation could happen with some of the other species that flourish in the waters here. As a result, almost 50 fishermen across Lyme Bay have taken part in a training programme to collect data, a key part of which involves analysing the otolith bone located in the fish head, which contains a series of rings when cut in half.
The rings show you its age, how fast it grows, or how slow, i.e. whether it's had a good year, because they're just like the tree rings in a tree. It's more or less the same principle. It isn't just about pollock, it's about all fish we catch in Lyme Bay, because most, if not all, fish stocks are data deficient.
The fishermen also take photographs and record measurements, along with details like water temperature and signs of spawning. The bone, once collected, is sent to scientists to look at under a microscope.
If you are able to take samples of fish and work out how many individuals are in each different age class, that tells you something about the health of the population. Most of the samples that we've got are between 3 and 5 years old, and that indicates that the population is actually being quite heavily fished.
Mandalay Wolf is behind the project in Lyme Bay.
We actually have to train the fishermen first, so we have to show them how to collect data in a compliant manner that is acceptable and can be amalgamated in with the government's current data collection processes. Once they're trained fully, then we're looking for partners to start collecting that data and feeding that in.
It's hoped similar schemes can now be rolled out in fishing communities around the region. Lucy Fisher, BBC Spotlight.
Along with the famous red and white striped Smeaton's Tower, Tinside Lido on Plymouth Hoe is an icon of the southwest coast. In its heyday, it was a magnet for tourists, but the elements over time have taken their toll. Today, though, it's undergoing a facelift to breathe life back into it again. And we sent Hattie McCann to get a look at what's going on.
Under the cover of scaffolding, a transformation is taking place. The plan by Plymouth City Council and Plymouth Active Leisure is to turn Tinside into a contemporary and vibrant venue whilst maintaining its charm. The pool and its buildings were built in 1935 and it's one of the best examples of Art Deco Lidos in the country, but much of it has fallen into disrepair.
What you stood in now used to be a really derelict building for nearly 20 years. So the vision for this is to reawaken it, turn it into a really multifunctional space. So we're going to have an events area, we're going to have somewhere where you can have meetings and conferences, and also space where young people can come along and sort of enjoy the space and do educational things related to the National Marine Park.
Plans are for Tinside to reopen this spring, which means working through the winter on a site right on Plymouth Sound.
Very exposed. One of the biggest challenges, is battling with the weather and the elements. So one of the big parts of the project was putting this temporary roof structure and scaffolding up to enable us to carry out the waterproofing works.
On a wet and windy day like this, with scaffolding and the pool not looking great, it's difficult to imagine the vision. But once £4.6 million has been spent on it, it'll look very different in there and out here.
The team want it to be more than just somewhere to have a paddle. Somewhere for everything from water safety lessons to conferences and even weddings.
The space upstairs will be the home to loads of different stuff. You know, it'll be great for hospitality, great for income generation, great for sustainability. This building is going to be singing and dancing. A lot of singing and dancing in real terms.
It will, of course, be a draw for tourists as well.
I mean, it's on all the postcards, so this is the thing which people, along with the tower, it's one of the things that people really recognise, and we want more people to come and engage with it, and it's going to be world class. That is the best view across the ocean in the whole country.
And whilst we wait for the big reveal, we'll just have to make do with looking at that view. Hattie McCann, BBC Spotlight, Plymouth.
A primary school in Cornwall says it's had a fantastic response to a call for donations for an art auction. St Dane Caharrock Community School is raising money for new art equipment and materials. And since a post on social media, over 100 postcard-sized paintings have been sent in. The anonymous auction takes place next month, as Christine Butler reports.
It's unusual for a primary school to have a dedicated art department and an art teacher to go with it. But that's what St Day and Caharrock Primary has. To pay for all the materials, an anonymous art auction has been organised.
So I decided to use TikTok because I've been promoting my own work on there for a long time. I've got lots of art friends from when I studied art in the past, and I just thought it was a great way to connect with lots of people at once, to hopefully get 5 or 6 people donating a piece of artwork to the school. And I never anticipated that it would reach over 30,000 people.
The art's been arriving in the post for weeks, and hoping to open the envelope means every child shares the excitement.
It would help the school very much from the auction, because it would be better to get more art supplies, because we're a very arty school and I think we could do very big things.
We can invest in the best art materials, we can replace art materials that have been used, and the children are getting the best offer that we can give them.
All of the auction art has to be postcard sized. And I don't know any primary school that's got an art department, a dedicated classroom for art. How did that come about?
It came about because, first of all, we're a rights-respecting school, so we really listen to the voice of our children, and they were telling us for their well-being and mental health, they love the arts, the creative arts.
And for Flo, it means a lot.
You can be given a pencil and then you can slowly sketch something out, and it's really calming for me.
I think that it's a great opportunity for children to be involved in making the art projects that aren't only seen in our school but seen in public as well.
And there's still plenty of time to send in your art, as the auction is being held in February. Christine Butler, BBC Spotlight, St Day.
Yeah, brilliant idea. Now, just go back to our top story now, and the snowfall that's brought considerable disruption to parts of the region. We're actually just hearing at the moment that the A30 near Jamaica Inn on Bodmin Moor is at a standstill. Some vehicles have been trapped there for hours, and meanwhile the A38 and A380 around Ken Ford in Devon, there are huge tailbacks caused by snow. The road is being temporarily closed by police at times. That's just to allow the gritters to get through. One man who's been stuck there for more than 3 hours is Michael Ormsby.
We left home at Newton St Sires at 2 o'clock, heading for Dartmouth. We drove for about just under an hour when the traffic came to a standstill. Very heavy snow, so we took the decision to turn around, got back onto the A380 heading north, and I think we've moved 100 yards in 3.5 hours. We're probably stuck for nearer 4 hours now.
Misery on the roads there. We'll keep you updated, of course, on the BBC radio stations across Devon, Cornwall and Somerset. That special radio programme on now until 10 o'clock tonight. The weather forecast now, all important. Our top story, David, how bad is it?
It's pretty bad at the moment. Thanks, Victoria. Good evening. But things do get better. Well, I have to, really. We are continuing to see some snowfall. We've had some beautiful scenes from some of our weather watchers, but that was this morning. Right now, we have snow, sleet and rain falling. The snow not exclusive for high ground either, even to quite low levels. There's a bit of snow at the moment. The forecast for this evening and tonight eventually takes that band of real mixture, a winter mixture of rain, sleet and snow away to the south, clearing the south coast later in the night. The area covered by the weather warning is across parts of Devon, Cornwall, Dorset and Somerset, but the continuing yellow warning is valid up until midnight tonight, and that's a further risk of snow and ice. The amber warning covers the area shown here, and that's up till 9 p.m. this evening. The whole lot will move away southwards later on tonight, but it will leave behind the risk of ice. This was the journey, early evening journey from Gunners Lake to St Anne's Chapel and down towards Callington, where the conditions were pretty bad just as it's getting dark. These roads have had 4 or 5 centimetres of snow, and very quickly it's caused some problems. And this road's not particularly high, highest around 200 or 300 metres. Thank you to Janet for our weather pictures for this evening. So let's look at the detail then. On the satellite picture, you can see how far north that area of cloud has travelled. It's an area of low pressure. It is now returning southwards and eastwards, and quite quickly later on tonight will move out of the way. That brings the Arctic air back across us. Now, for many of us today, temperatures have been struggling 2 or 3 degrees above freezing, with one exception. The Channel Islands, Jersey, managed briefly 10 degrees, the milder air only just making it into the south of the Channel Islands. And then quickly tonight, everything will freeze. It's a mostly fine day tomorrow with a few showers around, and then another weather system coming in on Friday. That will bring with it another risk of some sleet and some snow. You can see how the milder air is pushed out of the way during the course of the night and into tomorrow. So the forecast for tonight continues with further outbreaks of sleet and snow, but it all starts to peter out by the end of the night. But then a second weather warning, a yellow weather warning, is for these showers coming into western parts of Cornwall. They will bump into the cold air again, and above 100 metres or so readily fall as sleet and snow, but quite a high risk of ice, not just here, but right across the southwest, because of how low the temperatures are going to be. Anywhere from -2 to -5 overnight tonight. A really cold night. Showers will continue in the morning. The Met Office yellow weather warning for West Cornwall valid until the middle of the day. And then into the afternoon, lots of fine weather, some winter sunshine. Another weather system approaching from the west, though, will bring the threat of some sleet and snow back across us overnight and into Friday. These are our top temperatures tomorrow, around 5 or 6 degrees, but on higher ground where there's lying snow, they won't be much higher than around freezing for most of the day. Now, here's the good news part of the forecast. We had to have some. Bit of sleet and snow on Friday, but into the weekend and into next week, finally, temperatures back into double figures. Take care. Victoria.
Thank you, David. Our late team, Heidi Davey, will bring you the late news at 10:30 with any update on the roads and the travel situation. But thanks for joining us this evening. Good night.